Big 12 Media Days, day 2. Much more action-packed for us being on the Colorado beat. Got a chance to talk to all 5 players that were out here representing the Buffaloes, and Coach Prime took the stage. Our first time seeing him since the spring game.
Yeah, and it was good to see him. I mean, obviously it's been reported he's got some health issues, things like that, and he didn't really address that. Said I'm here to talk about my team, but he looked good. I mean, he looked like Coach Prime. He looked healthy, and he was energetic like usual, and had his one-liners, and came with his usual confidence that he has. So it was good to see Coach Prime being Coach Prime.
Even taking on a bit of a commissioner role up there, hypothetically, with some of the questions thrown his ways. Obviously, he's as big a face as there is in college football. And so as we're trying to look to the future of this sport, I think it's good for him to have some insight. And most of the things he said, I would agree with in terms of things that would be better for the sport going forward.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things he talked about was having basically a salary cap for players and, taking on a little bit of that NFL model in that regard. And I think he's right that is look, if you're a top echelon player, you can make this amount of money, and if you're not going to make that type of money. And he mentioned there's players right now that are not great players. They're getting a lot of money to go somewhere else, and that probably shouldn't happen. And so I think but a lot of the coaches, this was on a panel with the other 7 coaches who were here today. A lot of them agreed with him. They're like, yeah, I mean, that's the way it should be, is that type of model. Coach Prime is, as we know, not only a good football coach, he was a great football player, but he's an excellent businessman and knows that side of it really well. And so I think that he'd be a great voice in the room whenever they have these conversations.
We heard that it was going to be a quarterback competition in Boulder, and it's not that I didn't believe that, but a lot of us just looked at the experience that Caden Salter had at Liberty and the fact that Julian Lewis is young for his grade, and just kind of put 2 and 2 together in terms of our prediction at that position. But Coach Prime was asked about bringing both those guys out here, and he said, because we don't know yet, and was not opposed to the idea of both of them playing. I'm anxious to see how that plays out. I'm still going to stick with the Salter prediction unless there's something that proves otherwise. But it is a genuine quarterback competition. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought both of them to media days.
Yeah, I agree with you all the way around. I'm still going to go with the Salter prediction. But I do wonder, not that this is a huge part of it, but I wonder if this type of deal is part of that competition. Let's see how you handle the spotlight a little bit and taking on some questions, because that's part of being the quarterback. And that's what Shedeur was so great at, is he could sit up there in any press conference setting and handle himself really well. And you want to see your quarterback do that more than any other position. As we're doing this, I mean, they're about to do the individual stuff here, so we'll see. But you and I both talked to Julian as well as Caden Salter separately, and I thought both of them handled themselves pretty well. And maybe that's part of the competition. I don't know. But if nothing else, for a Julian Lewis, this throws him into a little bit of a fire and says, grow up a little bit.
Well, one thing I took away, too, is that they have a good relationship. So it's going to be a healthy room. Yeah. No matter who wins the starting job, which I think is important, because you're probably going to need both of them at some point this coming season, right? Yeah. And so we heard Caden Salter talk about how it's a big brother, little brother relationship. Julian was telling me that they barely even talk football. It's about other things. And so that was a good sign I took away from it, just talking with those guys and hearing about their friendship.
Yeah, and Caden was kind of funny. He said, look, he's super talented, awesome young man. He goes, there are times in the locker room he shows he's 17 years old, because he wants to play sometimes. Like, let's be serious. And so, yeah, they're obviously on very different ends of the spectrum as far as their careers, but very talented young men. And, I think you're right. You're probably going to need both of them at some point, because this last year was one of the first times in how long that the quarterback for CU played the entire year. Even Shedeur's first year here, he was injured in the last game and a half. Ryan Staub started the Utah game, but you had a few different guys play the rest of that Washington State game. Yeah, we don't need to talk about what happened in Pullman up there, but yeah, just history shows that you're going to need that second guy at some point, and so you want both of them to be ready.
One of the guys protecting whoever wins that job, Jordan Seaton, came out here with his big personality and was as advertised, and it's just a great representative for Colorado because of his personality. And I was telling Jimmy Searfoss, it's like, the big guys don't get enough love. And Jordan, because of that personality, gets it.
Yeah, he really does. And it was fun talking to him. I did an interview with him, and it was funny. I was just about done. I said, let me ask you one other thing, because he was talking about just the grind. He said, this is the most focused I've ever been in an off season, and really since they got back from their little break after spring ball. He said, I've been so locked in and just the grind and working on his body, things like that. And so I said, well, tell me something you like to do that's not the grind and not football. And he kind of got this big smile. And he talked about how he and Draylon Miller, they live, I don't know if they live together or if it's the same neighborhood, but they go on walks together. And he goes, a lot of times we just talk about whatever, and he goes, hold on a second. He goes and grabs his phone while we're doing this interview, and finds the app that tracks how many miles. He was like, look, it's one, we went like 4.5 miles or whatever it was, and he goes, this is a run I did that was a mile and a half, and so he was like bubbling the whole time. It was like wanted to show off like how many miles he's walking with Draylon Miller, and just he's such an awesome young man. I mean, it's hard to believe he's a sophomore because he looks like a senior and he talks like a senior. I'm excited to see how good he's going to be this year. He's already receiving preseason all-conference accolades, things like that. He was good last year. I think he's going to be great this year.
Yeah, there's some guys you worry about, can they live up to a certain level of hype? Yeah. With him, from day one, and I think IMG helped a lot with that not being an issue for him. Because he was comfortable in his own skin, it seemed like the second he got on CU's campus.
Well, and naturally you have that worry when there's a true freshman starting on the offensive line, like, is he going to be that good? It didn't take long last year to say, okay, you're comfortable with that. I was kind of, after I interviewed him, we were just chatting about the offensive line, and he's like, I don't really know who's going to land in all the other spots. I said, well, I know we're penciling you in at left tackle, and he kind of laughed. I'm like, that's one spot you don't worry about is left tackle, because Jordan Seaton, as long as he's healthy, he's going to be fantastic. He's going to be maybe the best left tackle in this conference.
Jordan Seaton on the preseason all-conference list, like you mentioned. DJ McKinney as well, the other buff that was on that list, and he was out here today. I figured he was getting a lot of Travis Hunter questions, and he handled the one that I threw his way really well, just saying that it wasn't a burden he didn't feel like he was in Travis Hunter's shadow last year. He was going to get his opportunity to shine. And even within that, I mean, you look at some of the Pro Football Focus numbers, he actually gave up less, opposing quarterbacks completed less percentage of their passes thrown in DJ McKinney's way than Travis Hunter's way last season. And so I think it's well-deserved, all this recognition he's getting.
Yeah, and I was looking at the numbers. I mean, he is there's a kid from ASU, I can't remember who it is, but this kid from ASU and DJ are the returning leaders in the conference as far as passes defended, which is interceptions plus pass breakups. So he's one of the top guys coming back. And so he was really good last year. He's going to be really good this year, and he's super excited. I think he's put in a lot of work as well. And he was telling me about Preston Hodge, how he's excited to have him back, how good he's looking at nickel. And RJ Johnson on that other corner. That's probably the group, but DJ is going to be the leader there.
He also mentioned, DJ did, that he's really taken TJ Branch under his wing, the true freshman safety. We saw some flashes in that spring game that go, wow, once he spends some time in the weight room, matures a little bit, he's going to be a force back there. And that was one of the comments DJ made to me, was just kind of reemphasizing that that's a young player in this program. Maybe not this year in terms of a big impact, but a guy that's got a bright future.
Yeah, and there's a lot of those guys. I mean, you talk about the high school recruiting. I mean, when CU's hit on guys, I mean, they're pretty good, and TJ Branch might be one of those guys. And I think it was Juju was talking about Quentin Gibson as well as one of those guys that really is kind of popping as well. So there are some young guys in this program that are going to have an impact, whether it's this year or in the future. They're going to be some guys to watch out for.
Not an old guy, a senior, Alejandro Mata, gets an opportunity to come out here a year after Mark Bassett, as a specialist, gets to represent Colorado. And his relationship with Coach Prime has been fun to cover the last couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. And, he talked to me about how much he's grown up as a man because of Coach Prime. And he has a mustache out here. And I joked to him, I said, is that part of the sign that you're growing up? And he goes, yeah, my mom doesn't like it, though. And so, but, hey, he's grown up. It's hard to believe he's a senior because, he feels like he's been here forever. But, he's really, when you look at CU records, he's the most accurate kicker in CU history. He's got a shot to go down as the most accurate, as far as field goal percentage, accurate kicker in CU history. I know a lot of it, he doesn't kick long field goals, but he's very good at what he does. And he said that record means a lot to him. He's going for that. And he also feels like he's more consistent than he was a year ago, and said he's also trying to prove that he can kick longer field goals.
He's hard on himself too,
Yeah.
because I was kind of asking him to just assess his play the last couple of years. Like you mentioned, a really good percentage, but he felt like he underperformed to his own abilities. He's somebody that's always going to be his own worst critic, and I think that's what's kind of driving him to go out with a bang this season.
Yeah, I think so, and it means a lot to him to have a big role on this team. I think a lot of it is because of that relationship with Coach Prime, that Coach Prime has meant so much to him. He wants to give back and help Coach Prime's team win.
Helps now. Buck Buchanan comes in, and so a little pressure off Alejandro. Who everybody knows what his specialty is, and he can kind of focus on that. Got to see Rick George out here as well today. So just a really good media day. I would say one of the better conference media days, just from the access that we've gotten that I've had an opportunity to cover.
Yeah, and I like the venue actually here at the Star. 2 years ago I came out here. The Buffs were still in the Pac-12 for a few more weeks. And it was at the Cowboys Stadium over in Arlington, and I love this venue because it feels big in here, but on the outside it's just the practice facility, so it's easy to get up here. I think the breakout session may be a little more spread out, but overall, I think the Big 12 does a great job with the media day. And as far as the access, I mean, the most players we've ever had was the 3 last year, so getting 5 for the Buffs this year, and honestly, shout out to Curtis Snyder and Herman Shelton, because they did a great job facilitating getting us one-on-ones with those guys. And sometimes it's hard to do that at this media days, but they did that for us today, and that was great.
So what are we, less than 3 weeks away from preseason camp now?
Yeah, I think it's, the 28th. So I think, what is that, 3 weeks from Monday? So, yeah, we're about 19 days away.
Well, we got some great stuff to fill in the gap here the next few weeks. Anything else from media days?
No, it's been fun. I'm looking forward to this season, and we might have talked about it yesterday on film. I can't remember, but after the little bit of a break that we need, I think I'm ready. Let's get some football going here, and it's nice to see all the helmets and the mascots. And this is really, when you get to media day, it's like, all right, it's here, it's around the corner.
It is definitely starting to feel like football. Signing off from Big 12 Media Days.